A young woman stormed out of a company building, furious. Seriously? What kind of company refuses to hire people just because they're from the countryside? An older man nearby heard her yelling and stopped her. What happened? He asked. The young woman explained that she had just interviewed at the company, but the supervisor rejected her immediately after learning she came from a rural village. Worse still, he hinted that she needed to pay money if she wanted the job. The man was shocked. "Can I see your resume?" he asked. The moment he looked at it, he froze. She had graduated from Tsinghua University with a degree in fashion design, one of the best qualifications possible for the company. The man couldn't believe someone so talented had been rejected for such a ridiculous reason. "Come back inside with me," he said. "I know some people here. Maybe I can help." So together, they walked back into the HR office. The supervisor looked at her resume again and sneered. "Tsinghua University? Fashion design? Sounds impressive, but you're from a rural village. Our company doesn't hire rural people." But the supervisor only laughed. "In today's world," he said, "money matters more than talent." That's when the older man decided to expose him. Pretending to cooperate, he asked, "So how much money would it take to get her hired?" The supervisor greedily demanded tens of thousands of dollars, then shamelessly said the only position she qualified for was cleaning the women's restroom, even with her elite education. Then he proudly revealed that his cousin was the factory director, making him untouchable inside the company. But instead of arguing, the older man calmly pulled out his phone. He called the factory director directly and asked him to come to the HR office immediately. Moments later, the factory director arrived, but before anyone could speak, the older man revealed his true identity. He was actually the owner of the company. The room fell completely silent. The young woman apologized for angrily insulting the company earlier, but the boss reassured her that her frustration was understandable. Then, right there on the spot, he personally interviewed her. Using her professional knowledge, the young woman confidently explained the selling points of the company's newest clothing product. The boss was immediately impressed. Without hesitation, he announced that she had officially passed the interview and was hired. Then the boss turned toward the supervisor and factory director. Furious, he pointed out that the company had almost lost an incredible talent simply because she came from a rural area. He exposed their bribery scheme and abuse of power in front of everyone. Even then, the factory director still insulted rural people. That was the final straw. The boss ordered an investigation into every employee hired through bribery or favoritism. Then he fired both the supervisor and the factory director on the spot. Still unwilling to admit fault, the factory director complained that he was being fired over some country girl. But the boss immediately shut him down. "What's wrong with rural people?" he asked. "They work honestly and with dignity, and you came from the countryside yourself." Then the boss gave them one final lesson. No matter who you are or where you come from, always live with honesty and conscience. Justice will always live in people's hearts. And what do you think about the boss's decision?